Da, da, theme song, theme song. Da, da, da.
I'm Tanya,
I'm Nikki.
and we are 1,000 Eyes in One, the
The
podcast.
podcast.
And Nikki's back. Yay!
Yay! Thanks, AK, for sitting in.
Yes, thank you again, AK, for
Uh,
filling in
Can I
for
tell
my
you just
book
real
bag.
quick that I had dreams last night about dinosaurs, and I was just like trying to figure out. I was like, I didn't watch Jurassic Park, and then I realized it's because of this episode, because there was mad dragons in this episode. I was like, oh, that's why. House of the Dragon, dinosaurs, dragons. It's the
It
same.
makes
fam.
sense. It makes sense.
Mhm.
Tonight is season 1, episode 7, Driftmark.
Driftmark.
To find previous episodes, go to 1000eyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, 1,000 Eyes in One podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as 1,000 Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, 1,000 Eyes in One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram. Lena's funeral.
Can
is
I ask
how
you a
we
question?
begin. Yeah.
How come her casket got her hair right?
It gave her like the emoji afro hair.
I was like, what's going on? I was like, it's better than the wig, but yeah, no, it's funeral.
I was actually thinking she kind of got both a Targaryen and a Velaryon funeral because she was burned
Mhm.
first
She
and then
was
given
burned
to the
first.
sea.
Yep.
But she got to, like, not really intentionally, but
What is dead may never die. Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of like the Tully send-off too.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what I was thinking when I watched it the second time, that I really enjoyed seeing like the funeral ritual kind of like played out.
Yeah.
Um, and to see people kind of like sitting in the after part of a funeral, which we don't see often in the show,
Yeah.
or in this world rather. And that was kind of interesting to see how everybody's just like,
You know what I was
wait,
wondering?
trigger warning. Trigger warning. We've been to many funerals in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But it's just like watching everybody drink their wine. I was like, yep, keep drinking. That's how you
Yeah,
make it through.
pretty much. I was gonna say about Tully funerals just because you mentioned it. I always wondered, like, where do those bodies end up?
Right?
Like, are you just like minding your own business and suddenly there's like a burned up body with a sword like on your shore?
Like over the waterfall, some waterfall where there's just like a collection of like broken boats and
Yeah.
skeletons.
Like, what's the end game for that?
I don't know. Oh, it was good. That's a Jeff Wheeler book. They go over the falls. He's Fountains and Blessed. Never mind, wrong franchise.
All right, back on track. Why was Damon giggling like that during the ceremony? What do you think?
I thought, because I was watching it closely, because yesterday I was like, he's so rude. He's so rude. I love it. I don't know if it was like the not so veiled hints at paternity, and
Oh,
that
right. That kept saying true born and
true
true
born
blood.
and our blood runs thick and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he's looking at Rhaenyra. What's his name? The cousin's name? The brothers, the uncle.
Vayman.
Damon keeps looking at her, and like Damon's just over there giggling. And I'm like, what? It's like, I don't know. Maybe he knows something that we don't know.
And then Allison was staring at Rhaenyra the whole time with that look on her face.
Mhm. Can I just say, since I missed the last episode, I have never, like, this episode is full of people that I want to punch in the face.
Oh, last episode, I took back every single sympathetic thing that I said that time. I backtracked and was like, you know what? Let me give Allison a break. Yeah, I took all of that back. So
Good.
you missed it, but I took it all back. And
She didn't deserve it.
She did not deserve it. And I can't believe I fell for the trap. I
want
am
to punch
deeply
her.
disappointed in myself.
I want to punch Kristen Cole.
Oh,
I hope he meets a really nasty ending, like really, really bad and tragic, but like maybe dies alone in pain.
yeah.
Yeah, no, she was unforgivable. She's unforgivable.
Yeah.
She's grilling, and then Laris is just staring at her too. Like, whew.
AK and I were talking about the possibility of Helena being a dreamer.
Oh yeah.
because
Yes, I wrote
yeah,
those down. I wrote the roads down.
I did too.
Yay.
Yeah, because last week when she said her mom said you'll get a dragon one day, and she said he'll have to close an eye, like all spooky. And then this episode,
Mm-hmm.
he loses an eye and gains a dragon. And
Mm-hmm.
then she was said, hand turns loom, spool of green, spool of black, dragons of flesh, weaving dragons of thread.
Mm-hmm.
What is she talking about? We already know it's
Prophecy.
foreshadowing. Yeah, we know it's foreshadowing something. I
Uh,
don't see, it's like I don't want to speculate too much because obviously we know too many spoilers.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, we know who the greens are. We know who the blacks are. We know who the true
Oh, hand
Targaryens
turns
are.
loom, hand
Mhm.
as in like hand of the king.
Right? He's weaving his
Spool of
deceptions.
green, spool of green, spool of black. Or this
Mm-hmm.
team green, team black.
Mm-hmm.
Dragons
Dragons
of
of
flesh,
flesh, and
weaving
then
dragons of
dragons of
thread.
thread. So if the hand is the one behind it, like he is the one who's making the other dragons, right? Dragons of thread. Like, what's her name? The bitch I want to punch in the face.
Allison.
Allison. Sorry guys, COVID memory's gone. Allison is a dragon of thread, right? If I had to speculate, it's like she's a dragon of thread because she married into Targaryen. She's not actually
Right. And the
Targaryen,
dragons
right?
of flesh are the Targaryens.
Targaryens. Yeah, I was very excited that we got a little like prophecy thing. I love when they do that.
Yeah. We also see that Rhaenys is angry at Rhaenyra. She no longer fucks with her because, those are not her grandkids.
Mm-hmm. And she knows it.
And she knows it. Everybody knows it.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, I was saying last episode, like, she is kind of wilding out to be having all these kids and being so brazen about it. Like, she did go a little too far.
Like, come on. You couldn't, like, I know that they said they tried, but you guys couldn't try harder than that. You couldn't figure out a way to like artificially
Like
inseminate
they
yourself.
did it like 2 or 3 times.
It's not enough. I mean, for some people it's enough, but
Well, yeah, for me it was enough. Once was enough.
you know, yeah.
Thanks, James, for the rum.
Shout out King James. Yeah.
I also noticed that Aemond looked like he was gonna comfort Jace, and then he changed his mind and walked away.
Right, that little cousin moment. I was like, wait, were they gonna? Oh, and they just looked at each other like they had nothing to say, and it was just so sad because I wanted them to get along.
Yeah, Aemond is so closed off though because it's the 3 of them against him.
That child looks like he's so sleep deprived. I was like, they kept him up for 6 nights before they filmed this episode. I look at his little face and he just reminds me of my nephew when he hasn't had a nap. Oh man. And then, and it's like there's multiple levels of grief that's happening, right? Because Rhaenyra is grieving Harwin and
and
Damon
her kids, and Jace is grieving Harwin
and
too.
Yeah, and he says it, he's like, well, it's why aren't we should be mourning in Harrenhal, and she's like, it's not
like
no,
don't not
no,
so loud,
no, don't say that, it's not fitting or whatever she said, and I'm just
it's like, not appropriate,
but she says that, and then we see freaking Laris. Why is he not at Harrenhal mourning in his house where he's now like lord of the castle?
Maybe it's not livable yet, but if there are people there though, why wouldn't he be there?
And it's a huge castle, like they didn't burn the whole thing down, it was like a tower. I was like, what are you doing at this funeral? Your dad and your brother just died, bro.
He's not in mourning at all.
Yeah. And I thought it was really just seeing the people in the different states of mourning, like everybody's like in their cups or they're drinking or is in the sea.
Aegon just looked bored.
He was like, what, free drinks? Nobody's gonna funeral. No one's gonna stop me. Yeah.
Poor Laenor losing his sister. You saw how deeply it affected him.
Yeah. Just standing in the sea like that meme.
When his dad went to Sir Carl and said, retrieve your patron, it showed that like he knows that that's his son's boyfriend.
But he was so brusque about it, and like not like a go over there
because it looked like because he was there flirting with younger guys. He was sitting there like, chatting up to young guys. They're kind of cute. And
Oh, you know what? I didn't even peep that because I was watching everybody else's reaction around him when Corliss walked over to him.
oh no, he
Uh,
was like talking up some guy, and Corliss saw Laenor in the ocean and then saw Laenor's boyfriend like
yeah.
getting
He's like,
numbers at the funeral.
what a hoe.
It's like bitch, go get your man. Like you're just gonna
Yeah.
let him wallow and you're gonna flirt at his sister's funeral? Like have some decorum.
Like you didn't even buy any of the things that you're wearing. He dressed you.
Right. He's your sugar daddy. Show him a little bit of respect.
Mm-hmm.
On the way out, did you catch Allison's face when Viserys called her Emma?
Emma?
and then the Lord Commander kind of like chimed in and saved it a little bit. He
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, would
Yeah.
you like me to take care of Queen Allison?"
And
Whoops.
I know, and it's funny because last night when when it played, I didn't hear it because I was like, why is she looking at him like that? And then today when I watched it, I heard it and I was like, oh, but like, can you blame him, the poor man? How many funerals has he been to? Like he's all
And he still misses
old,
Emma. Last episode, wasn't he kissing? Was it last episode he was kissing her ring?
Yeah,
He still misses her.
he misses her. That was his boo.
And I think that's why he spoils Rhaenyra so much, because it's all he has of her.
Mm-hmm. What's he say to Damon? He was like, "Oh, I know. It's like it's a blessing and a curse or whatever, a gift and a
Right.
curse that they look so much like their mother."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I know that too well." And Damon's like, "All right, whatever."
Yeah, Damon's
Damoning.
yeah. It's like he's such a dick all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this time he's grieving and it just makes him even worse.
Yeah.
Like how you smash your niece at the night of your sister wife's funeral. That just sounds crazy to say out loud.
It does. Like that's a lot to unpack.
And she reminds us every moment that it's her uncle too, because she keeps calling him uncle. Like, are you gonna call him uncle while you're married?
Who what's her name tweeted that today? And I was like, yeah, for real. I can't remember her name right now. I'm sorry, we love you.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, she's right. Like, stop it. Just call him Damon, please.
Yeah. And then Otto and Damon's exchange, where Damon's like a leech basically about a leech being fat, because like that we see the first thing that we see of Otto is that he's tapping his his hand.
Yeah,
his hand.
He's back in business,
and he's back, and I'm just like, ooh, you look dried up. What is going on?
He always looks so disheveled, and I'm like, is this on purpose or is this just a guy who looks disheveled all the time?
Like the former Prime Minister of England. Boris. This is disheveled hair on purpose.
He looked crazy as shit.
I was like, yo, what is going on with him? Like, you're back. Like, comb the hair.
There was so many quotables.
Yeah. I just wrote leech because I thought I would remember it, but
he said like basically like the leech gets fat and will still go for another meal or something.
Yeah,
along
something
those
like
lines. That's obviously not the quote, but
yeah, basically he's like, you're a bottomless pit of ambition and I see you.
Yeah, right. And Aegon's drunk ass, did you notice Otto looked around first before he kicked him?
Yes.
Because he's like, it's like, it reminds me of when Tywin shows up to King's Landing and wants to whip Joffrey into shape.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of echoes between Lannister rule and what stuff that happens in this episode. And I'll talk more about that later. Let's see what I wrote. I have this. This is where my notebook stopped working. I wrote a real lack of light. I'm like, you guys are all outside. Where are all the torches? Why is it so dark? But whatever.
Rhaenys and Corliss's conversation. She lets us know, which I don't remember if we ever said it on the podcast, but we've known that Corlys wants the crown more than her.
Yeah,
she let it go a long time ago.
Yeah, she said it a few times. She's like, it's not my, like, I gave up. Like, they decided, and I was like, you know what, whatever, let me live my life.
Right. She
and
said, mayhaps the gods have scorned us for our insatiable pride.
She's basically the same thing. It's like your ambitions are killing our children. or putting our
Right.
children at risk.
Right.
And you know, she's right. He could have just been on Driftmark and been settled. Legacy this, legacy that.
Because no one remembers blood; they remember names.
Names. Oh, I liked that.
So he's willing to go as far as to accept his illegitimate grandchildren just to have someone on the throne.
He's not much different from Otto in that sense, like his ambitions are more on the surface, right? They're on, they want the same things, but he's more, it's more obvious. And Otto's dragon mug.
Yes.
And
too bad
Otto,
it's green.
but Otto is like very devious, and his presence is insidious.
It is. He's like in the shadows.
Yeah. And what did you think about him, about Rhaena saying that they should give Driftmark to Bela?
I absolutely understood where she was coming from. I mean, she knows that those aren't Laenor's kids. She doesn't want to pass their family seat down to Strong's children.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand it, because even though everyone wants to dance around it, it is the truth.
Yeah, it is the truth. Everybody can see it.
Yeah, like, it's why would she? I'm glad she said it out loud, basically.
Yeah.
I'm glad she said it out loud. Those are not of your blood. And like, and then she even found a way to do it where it doesn't seem so bad. Like, Laenor is going to be king consort.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can just say we're passing it down through Laena's line, because Laenor's children will, succeed to inherit. I mean, it would have been Luke's seat, obviously, but
yeah. And he poor kid, he was like, I don't want it, because if I have it, it means that everyone's dead.
I know, that was so sad.
Poor baby.
That was so sad. What a solemn child.
Mm-hmm. I like his name, Lucerys.
It is a nice name. Have I ever told you? I think I might have mentioned it on here before, that there was like a thing going around, and it was like, is this a Targaryen or a black person?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you did tell me.
Yeah, it was like Jaehaerys, Lucerys. Like, oh shoot, you might be right.
I love it. Yeah.
It makes sense for Driftmark to pass to Bela.
Yeah, to keep it in, he's like, if you're worried about legacy and keeping it in your family, like, this is the way that we do it.
And saying that you're doing it to honor Laena is a good way to do it. So it doesn't sound like you're disinheriting your son. You know that he's gonna, rise up to the throne, next to it anyway.
Yeah. And it also looks like you're putting your money with your mouth, is because, like, if your wife was supposed to get the throne, and you're honoring the precedents that you're honoring that, like, her being spurned or not chosen for it, also honoring Viserys's choice to make Rhaenyra his heir, like, you're establishing a new status quo. Guess he wasn't ready to hear that, though.
No, he was pretty pissed. He just wants a Velaryon on the throne, whether it's really a Velaryon. He was
very handsome in that scene, though.
Oh yeah, I think he's really handsome.
I wanted to kiss him. I was like,
lips all moisturized.
No. Driftmark. Panties wet for Driftmark.
It was interesting that Daemon immediately, sorry, I just like skipped over, but Damien basically said that Otto and Alicent were behind the Strong murders.
Yeah, he called it out
immediately. Like, he's smart. He knows how the shit goes down.
He's like, they're gonna use the ghost of Harrenhal as a way to justify and cover up this murder, because it was a murder.
It was a murder. Because nobody, yeah, I mean, it's not like they have forensics, but like,
it was too obvious.
People know, yeah. Like the fire started just in their chambers while their doors were barred. I mean, I don't know if he knows that information, but somebody must. They would have had to unbar the door to get to them.
Yeah.
And then Rhaenyra doesn't believe that Alicent would do something like that, which I found interesting, because we've been like railing about, we've been going on about Alicent, being this like evil wench. And despite all the things she's said and done, Rhaenyra still doesn't see her as being capable of doing something so heinous.
Yeah.
And I mean, technically she didn't, she didn't outright ask Laris to murder
Mm-hmm.
the Strongs.
No.
But if she wanted her father back as hand, she knew that Lionel had to die.
Mm-hmm. There was no
So
other way.
she's not entirely innocent. She knew that because Lionel tried to resign and couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So the only other way is for him to die. And then she tells all this to Laris, who stands to gain from the death of Lionel. You can't tell me that she was just like, no, I would have never guessed you'd do that. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, because let's look at him. He'd do something, because what did he stand to inherit? Laris was not in a position. He's lame. It's not like he was the first son. He wasn't going to inherit Harrenhal. He had to make his own way too. There's a lot of ambition that's happening in this episode, right? That's being uncovered in this episode.
And based on his age and the fact that he's still unmarried, it means he couldn't even get a marriage match.
Well, no, because his Laris clubfoot.
Right. And
no one wants to marry them.
So Westeros is very ableist.
Very much so.
And it's like, AK and I were talking about Willis. How they'd marry their daughter to Willis because he's the heir to Highgarden.
Yeah.
But Laris isn't the heir.
Exactly. He would have had to been the heir from the start for people to even like deal with it or consider it. Which obviously we know is fucked up, but that's the way of the Westeros. The niece is having sex with the uncle. What do you want from us, guys?
Is that your vampire voice?
No, my vampire voice is much sexier.
Daemon and Rhaenyra finally do.
Sex on the beach.
Somebody's knocking the boots. I think they did literally have on boots.
I was watching them do this and I was just like, how many layers of clothes do you have to take off to be able to fuck a lady in Westeros?
And it's frowsy under there.
Yeah. I was like, take the panties off, he's moving to the side, but like you can't even do that because there's just so many layers.
They wear those long panties. They aren't even panties, those bloomers. Yeah. And then they have the stockings and then a shift and a corset and it's a lot.
I've worn a waist trainer on like a really hot day before, and it is not pretty, the smell that comes out when you take that off. So I can imagine
standing crazy under there.
Nobody's bathing regularly. Like,
it was nice though that they showed us this sex scene because it shows a complete difference from the night in the brothel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this night, it's like all tender and shit.
Yeah, and it makes me think that like I think, and we talked about this before, but I think she expected all along to be married to Daemon when she was younger. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it would have made sense. It would have made sense if he hadn't been married.
Yeah,
to Lady Rhea. Right.
And I mean, I'm glad that they got to address that. Yeah, his bronze bitch.
Yeah.
That she addressed it. She's like, you abandoned me, you left me alone. He's like, but you were a child. I'm like, but what did
like,
you bring
I spared you? Exactly. He's like, you were a child, I spared you. And it's like, yeah, I was a child. Why'd you bring her there in the first place, you creep?
Yeah, all the things that could have happened to her between like you leaving and her getting home. Come on, out of control.
It's like you didn't spare her very well.
Yeah,
since she just ditched her half naked.
She's traumatized for the rest of her life into the fact that she brings it up, but then she still wants to have sex with you.
The night of his wife's funeral. Messy. There needs to be like a Real Housewives of Westeros. This is basically what this is.
Can we just do that? Epis, can we do that?
Sure.
We'll do it after the season's over. Can we just put a pin in that?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Because I mean, this is basically what it is. The Real Housewives of Westeros.
God, can we get a panel of people and everybody can play a wife? We'll do a reunion show.
We'll talk about
the idea. We're gonna do it, guys.
We'll talk about it after.
Cut that out. Cut it out. Cut it out. You know what I also was thinking? Like watching that scene and how there's been like all this buzz about the fact that they had an intimacy coordinator for these, right? We talked about this, right? And how Sean Bean was like, "What do you need an intimacy coordinator?" And then I was like, I have call you getting buns in Game of Thrones. Like I remember you walking to like or like hopping off of Cat and like walking to the window with your butt out. But like, love scenes, be quiet, sit down.
Yeah, he said it takes away the spontaneity, but like we don't really need spontaneity. Like
No,
treat it the same way you treat stunts, right?
exactly. It's a
You have a
stunt.
stunt coordinator, you don't want any spontaneity. Let's plan this out so no one gets hurt. You have an
Mm-hmm.
intimacy coordinator. Let's do this the way we planned it out so nobody gets hurt.
Exactly. Consent.
But yeah, this was a good scene. It was good to see things being different between them this time around.
Yeah.
The
And I mean,
triflingness of it being the night of the funeral aside.
but we talk about how Allison couldn't keep her eyes off of Rhaenyra, but Rhaenyra couldn't keep her eyes off Damon the whole time. And I felt like Allison was watching this
Mm.
and she's just like disgusted because she's
Yeah,
like,
she
ugh.
looked very disgusted.
She's like,
It's like, how about you stop judging and go tend to your sick husband?
I'm so mad at her. Ugh. And like I want, I like it's I know, I mean, maybe the actress is just doing a really good job,
She
but
is.
I felt like she did a much better. I liked her acting much better in this episode than I did in the last one. I feel like maybe she found her character because the last one was giving me a little bit too much like Helena Bonham Carter in Westeros. It wasn't like, I don't know. I really was not happy with the performance, but this one, I felt much more comfortable hating her. I was like, oh no, 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 you sank into it. Okay, okay. Ugh.
Let's talk.
Excuse me.
Aemond One Eye claims a dragon.
Vast ass Vagar. How is such a big
huge
dragon?
I liked that Vagar was like, get the fuck off me at first.
Really literally like woke up like when you wake up an animal is sleeping, just turns and looks at you and you're just like, oh shit, my bad.
Right. And then I also wondered, like, was Vagar testing him like to see if he'd lived through this flight? Because the way he was dipping and diving, I'm like, is he trying to just like test him to see if he's worthy? Because it looks like he's gonna die.
You know what I wrote on there? I was like, Aemon's experience is what it would be really like to ride a dragon for the first time.
Yeah, you're flying all over the place. I
Like,
would have tied that rope around my waist.
oh my god!
Just you would have just seen my limp body slamming against the dragon's belly.
It was so funny. I like that moment where he climbed, like crests a little hill, and he looks and he's like, "Oh fuck!" Yeah, it was great. It was great to see him like get under. I was like really happy for him. You know,
And the music in that scene was a callback.
yes, the callback. That's what I wrote down. The music too. I was like, oh,
yes,
so
to
good.
Dany and her dragons. And that's the dragon music now, I guess, or the taming a dragon music. Let's talk about this cousin fight.
Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to read what this says. Oh, I wrote that I'd like to see more about dragons and their relationships with their masters, but I guess they gave that all that we could handle in Game of Thrones, so maybe we won't see it.
Cousin fight. Lucerys loses an eye. I mean, Lucerys takes an eye.
Lord Strong.
It was interesting how Aemond at first was somewhat sympathetic. Then he claims Vagar and he comes in swaggering and just mean.
He's got the biggest dragon villain.
In the realm. Right. But like he wasn't always nice, but like at the beginning when he's at the funeral, he's at least showing like a little bit of sympathy towards his cousin. And it's like as soon as he gets his dragon, he just turns villain.
His balls dropped on that flight.
Clearly. And the callousness towards Baela and Rhaena was so cruel.
And he's like, so mean, like, you're gonna die screaming in flames.
Like your father.
And I'm like, and their mother. Like, what the fuck? Chill.
Like he just was just.
And where
pure
were their
evil.
keepers?
That's what Viserys wanted to know.
Like, who's watching these children?
Well, nobody was watching Rhaenyra's boys because she was getting smashed on the beach.
I know. She told her ass to go to bed at 6 o'clock on a school night.
Yes, the sun was up. I'm like, what are you planning to do, ma'am? And Allison's too busy sniffing behind Rhaenyra to watch her kids.
Oh God.
Because like, shouldn't they have a Kingsguard with them?
They should have at least a Kingsguard or yeah, well, because they're heirs to
It's
the
the
throne.
king's children.
Yeah. The king's children and the queen, the future queen's children.
Right.
But like, where are their babysitters and their
Well,
not their maesters, their
Sir Kristen
septas.
had the night watch. So it
Yeah.
would have been him. So you
Well,
already
where
know
the fuck
he's
was he?
well, you already know he's not gonna watch Rhaenyra's kids.
Yeah. Because he swore to protect the king's blood.
He's such an asshole.
I hate him so much now. I thought, and it's we didn't get it. He's the same actor. Like, what happened
Yeah.
with that?
Well, he was already older than Rhaenyra.
I know, but like,
So
I'd like to see him aged up. Yeah, that was a very brutal fight, but like, I've been a kid before. I was a kid once. Me and my siblings fought like that. We didn't take any eyes out.
yeah, I was gonna say I never like threw sand in my brother's eye while my
Yeah.
sister slashed it out. So I can't say I've had that experience. Also, I don't think any of my cousins have ever punched me in the face.
No. I got along with my cousins. It's other kids that we fought with though.
You guys just had like brawls out in the streets.
Yeah. We did because like we were the only girls and there were always these boys, and if the boys were like messing with us, then we'd have to fight the boys.
My brother fought all my battles for me.
See, I always wanted an older brother for that reason.
Yep, he fought all my battles for me. I was like, thanks. He
Mm.
actually developed quite a reputation. Anyway, we're going off track again.
Let's draw. I like the where they bring them all in the room together, and like Damon shows up. He's like, oh wait, he's just listening to the kids argue. He's just like leaning back against the wall, like
Yeah, just leaning there
he's
smiling.
like, you know what? He's like,
he's like, ooh, he came in like, ooh, mess.
Ding,
That's
ding,
exactly
ding.
where I would be. I'm like, oh, there's some mess going on. Let me just lean against this wall and watch from here. Let's
Mhm.
talk about all of that because there's so much, I think,
There's
so much to say.
yeah.
So
I
have
had
this.
to say, shut up, Allison.
Did it remind you of,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
lady?
Exactly. That's I have
Yes.
Cersei in a circle on my
Yeah.
page here.
Yeah, it was just like this trial between when Prince Joffrey was cut by Arya. I mean, I'm sorry, he was trying to fight Arya and her wolf bit him.
Yep.
Gently, he nipped him. It could have been worse. Anyway, they have this like trial in the Lord's room, whatever you call that, his hall, I guess.
And this is all happening, it's like those interesting is like this was all going on before Corlys and Rhaenyra got there. Like they walk into it later and they're just like, what the fuck is happening in my house?
Yeah, what a wild night for them.
I know. Like you just drown or whatever, committed your daughter to the sea, and her kids are all away, and now you come and there's like infighting between the Targaryens. Like, what bad
And like
guests.
someone lost an eye
and stole a dragon.
Like there's so many levels of just what the fuck.
Yeah. There's so many questions.
Viserys, it's interesting to see Viserys try to like put his foot down. He yelled silence and well, yeah, but he tried to put his foot down and then didn't really resolve anything.
Yeah.
He's just like, all right, apologize. Let's all go to bed. It's like, sir, his eye got taken out. You don't want to get to the bottom of this?
Yeah.
And I don't mean like give up Luke's eye. And it's like maybe address your wife wanting to take your grandson's eye and also slashing your daughter's arm open. Like you're really just gonna
like
say
that's
apologize
not, like,
and just walk away.
That alone is enough to be like, okay, no, somebody needs to take. I wrote some I said I wrote should have had her killed for that. Could have had her
he's
killed. I know
not gonna kill his own
He's
wife.
not gonna do it.
Robert Baratheon would have just slapped the shit out of her.
Yeah.
We already know his ass.
I wanted her to be slapped.
I wanted her to be slapped.
And the thing is like I don't have kids, but I understand like a mother's anguish. Your kid lost an eye, you're upset. But like, the Old Testament on me, like eye for an eye. Take it
right.
like,
and then
what,
she
like
and
yes,
she
he
takes
should
it
be
out,
punished.
but she takes it out on Rhaenyra as if it was Rhaenyra's fault.
And everybody's seeing it. I'm just like, what are you gonna do? Like, yes, the kids are like, okay. You have to do something. but asking to like take an eye out from another child,
A potential heir
that's
to
like
the throne.
that's unreasonable, right?
Absolutely
Like
unreasonable.
more bloodletting is not the answer. Like, yes, they need to be punished, but like, but oh, I wrote here that she was sweating.
Right. I was gonna say, let's get into this because
Yeah,
they so Aemon gets
Viserys.
asked where he heard where
Hmm.
he heard this. He looks dead at his mother and she's panicking
She's panicking.
because
She's
he
like,
knows that she's been saying it. And
mm-hmm.
then when he says Aegon's like, me? Like
Exactly. He's like, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, I am I got a budding hangover.
like all I've been doing is chasing castle girls.
Drinking and chasing castle girls. It wasn't me. And like, and you could see her, she's sweating. And like, I think that deep down inside Viserys knows it's her. Like, it's one of those things
He
like you
knows.
know,
Just like he
people don't
knows
learn
those,
racism they
right.
learn it at
Just like he
home.
knows those are Harwin's children. He
Yeah.
knows. It's like Aegon said, just look at them.
Just look at them.
Look at them standing with their parents.
You know, it's so funny. Every time I read that, like in Fire and Blood, and every time I listened to the audiobook, it made me laugh, but it wasn't funny this time. I was like, oh, there's too much drama going on. Oh my God. Um, yeah, it was such a tense moment because you're just like, Eamon's like, well, I can't really tell the truth
Right. So
because my
he's got
it's
to
gonna be
blame
my mom.
someone.
Yeah.
And you saw she quickly cut in to say, oh, it was training
Yes,
yard,
yes, training yard babble
banter or
or whatever. And I
whatever.
was just like, yo, no, 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 no. How dare you try to justify and dismiss it like that? You
She was
fucking
panicking. And
ugh.
I liked that Viserys said if he hears it again, he'll take their tongue, and like looked right at her. And even though I don't think he would actually take her tongue,
I wish she would
but
though.
she looks afraid that he might.
I guess you're not taking the tongue of the person who's sucking your dick.
Oh shit, yeah.
She gets to
Yeah.
keep it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. That does pose a problem. When she grabbed the dagger and charged Rhaenyra and all that mayhem
Can you
happened.
believe that? I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Kristen
Yes.
Cole. Let's talk about Kristen Cole.
Fuck Kristen Cole.
Yes, to the depths of hell. Kristen Cole, first of all, when she demanded Lucerys's eye, he actually looked like he was considering it until the Lord Commander was looking at him. And that's when he says, she's like, he's sworn to me as your protector. But I felt like he would have done it if his Lord Commander wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
he
think
would
he
have been
would have
concerned
considered
about
it.
what the king would say.
And he has to listen to the king.
But I
And
think he at least considered it.
I mean, because he doesn't like the children,
He
and
would
it's not their
happily take
fault
one of their eyes.
because he's still pissed at Rhaenyra, right? And like is nobody questioning the closeness of their relationship?
Right. Do you think that
Like,
you
why
felt
is he
comfortable enough?
hanging out with her? So,
well, I mean, he's her sworn protector, so he should be there with her.
yeah,
But
I know, but
the fact that she felt comfortable enough to assume he would override the king's orders.
wildin'.
What is happening? And then when she charges at Rhaenyra, he comes running through, assuming to protect her. But was he about to fight Rhaenyra? Like, what would have happened if he got there?
And how he stopped Daemon from getting
Daemon.
to her too.
No, Daemon stopped him. You mean?
I thought he stopped Daemon.
No, Daemon stopped
Because
Kristen.
I thought Daemon was going into the and that Kristen stops
No,
Daemon.
no. Kristen was going into it. Yeah, watch it again. Kristen, the Lord Commander yells at Kristen to stay with the king. I mean, he was yelling for one of them to stay with the king. I don't know if it was Kristen or Alicent he was yelling at.
Yeah.
Kristen was running towards the queen, and it was Daemon who stopped him.
Oh, it looked like the way that I saw it, it looked like he was holding him from moving.
Daemon was on some let them fight. They're just working some stuff out.
Yeah.
But it just shows again how deeply he hates Rhaenyra. Like he just wants to bring her down. And another thing AK and I talked about, and I can't remember if we were actually recording when we talked about this, but Alicent is extremely jealous of Rhaenyra Alicent did everything a lady is supposed to
Yes.
do, and she's
Yep.
not living that romantic dream that ladies are sold. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra
Mm-hmm.
is just living her best life and doing whatever she wants, and there are no consequences.
Yeah, I wrote down her breakdown over duty and sacrifice, right? She's
Right.
playing the game.
She stayed a maiden. Rhaenyra absolutely did not, and everybody knew it.
Mm-hmm.
She, got married, and Rhaenyra fought it until finally she just married somebody,
Had to marry someone.
she just had to marry someone. Because Alicent couldn't put up a fight with her dad. She had to do
Mm-hmm.
what was expected of her.
Mm-hmm.
And she just did everything that you're supposed to do. And
Well,
she's
that's
not
what happens
happy.
when you're a social climber.
Yeah, you do, and you're not
Right.
happy at the end. And you know what it actually reminds me of? A thing I see a lot of times on Twitter is like, it'll be like a big woman with like her like hot trainer looking boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'll be a bunch of thin women talking shit about her, and it does the whole like, and I can't even get a text back, or some shit like that, as if
Right.
like being fat means that you don't deserve love. And I
Exactly.
think I
So
remember
stupid.
seeing someone say that it's because these thin women who are angry about a fat woman finding love, it's because they've been fed all this stuff about what beauty is. They did
Mm-hmm.
all of that and still didn't get the guy.
Yep.
Meanwhile, here is this woman who isn't thin, or maybe isn't light or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and she has this super hot boyfriend, and that's not fair. And that's what Alicent was doing.
Yeah.
Like, I did everything right, and she doesn't have a handsome knight. She has this old king who's falling apart and just
Yeah.
deteriorating before her eyes.
And she's got Damon, she had Damon, she had Sir Kristen, and she had
Harwin,
Harwin, and she had
Laenor.
Laenor. Yes.
Yeah.
So one after another of quote quote eligible bachelors. And she's just had the old king.
Renowned knights, and Harwin was so
Mm-hmm.
attractive. She
Mm-hmm.
got to have him as her boyfriend all those years. Everybody knew it, and nothing was
Mm-hmm.
happening to her. And that's what tips Alicent over the edge. Like, she becomes totally unhinged.
She's like, you take my kid's eye, like you what? She like, she said that you're entitled. You're feeling
You
like you're
feel
entitled
entitled to that
to
too.
his eye, right?
And it's like,
And
where did she get that from? Because Rhaenyra never said anything about taking his eye.
no,
She didn't, like, how does she feel entitled to his eye? Because she doesn't want her son's eye to be taken out in revenge.
Meanwhile, her son has got a broken nose, and little Bela's been punched in the face. Like nobody's checking on the
Right.
girls.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like Rhaenyra said, they get to see you as you are.
Yes, I love that. She's like,
And she
what is she
whispered
saying?
it.
She's like under. It must have been exhausting.
Yes. It's
like under
something about
that
her cloak of
self
righteousness.
righteousness. I was like, get her,
She knew what to say to piss her off. And I wonder if she was goading her into doing something stupid.
Maybe.
Because she whispered, now they see you as you are. And it just felt like, she's kind of
Mm-hmm.
and even just saying, wasn't it exhausting? Like
Yep.
taunting her. You're
Hey, boo,
taunting
you
a
dropped your
woman.
mask.
Right. Like, you're taunting this woman who has a knife at you and is completely just flown into a fury, and you're still taunting her. I feel like she wanted something to happen. I don't know necessarily that she wanted to get stabbed, but I definitely do think she wanted people to see Alicent's true colors.
But I think also she was just like, listen, at the end of the day, this is not really like your kid lost an eye, he's still alive. There are bigger things to worry about,
And
like
her kids
she's
were
looking
defending
at
themselves.
yes, and she says that
He smashed Lucerys's face with a rock, breaking his nose, and he was gonna smash Jacaerys as well.
mm-hmm.
He could have killed him.
He could have killed him, and then what would they have done?
And he wanted to kill him. He even said so. Like, he became unhinged when he got a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Alicent has spent so much time being angry at Rhaenyra and at her lot in life that she's not even really raising her kids.
Yeah. Well, obviously those little fuckers are running amok.
Yeah. Instead, she's just like,
just over there conspiring with Kristen Cole and talking about how much they hate Rhaenyra all day long.
Right. Like the straight up mean girl. They have a burn book and shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I was saying is that there's that moment where she's holding after she's cut her, she's like holding the dagger in front of the fire,
Mm.
and you're just like, oh, wait a
No,
second.
she was holding it right before she cut her,
Oh,
and then you could
holding it
see the
before, then you could
flames.
see the flames behind it, and I was just like, oh, I was like, there are much bigger things at stake than your kid's fucking eye,
Right.
and like, what does it mean, like,
Like, sorry,
Princess
he
had to sit
lost
on
the
the throne.
fight. Like, what, that's what it is at the end of the day. He lost the
He
fight.
lost the
He
fight, but did
raised
he
the
really
stakes.
lose?
Oh no, he got a dragon out
He
of
got a
it. But as
dragon.
far
He
as
got
just
the
the
biggest
physical
dragon in the
fight,
world. Yeah.
as far as just a physical fight, he raised the stakes when he's brought a rock into it and started smashing in faces.
Mhm.
And this person is younger and smaller than him.
Yeah.
Like you, and I always
No
say,
one's talking about how they hit the girls.
he punched the girls in the face, and they don't have the same kind of training. He
Mm-mm.
rocked their fucking jaws. And I always say, no ring, no rules. So if that means that you have to throw dirt in his eye to get a one up because you're smaller, then you're just gonna have to do that.
Yeah, fight dirty.
Fight for your life.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
what he did. And then Otto's all proud at the end
That
of
mother.
he's proud of this
He
monster
was.
he's built.
He's like, it's an ugly game, and he didn't know that you were up for it or whatever. And he's
And
like, and now you're like,
the way
he's
he
so
says that Aemond
proud
won Vhagar to their side, like your
to
side
their.
of what?
Yeah.
It's
To
he's
their.
planning for war.
Yep.
He wants a war. He's absolutely planning for war. He loves that Allison is now unhinged, and she claims to be embarrassed by her behavior. I believe she could have been embarrassed. I don't know if she's really that sorry.
Remorseful? No.
But I do think she's embarrassed that people saw her like that, because she's the queen and she's been such a lady all this time, and has all this decorum.
Yeah. And she's saying that people are talking, they're going to be talking about me and saying they're crazy, and they're going to whisper. And he was like, yeah, so we have a dragon. We have Vhagar now.
Right.
Who cares?
But that's something she cares about. She wants to always be seen as better than Rhaenyra, at least.
And
now she's the one who assaulted the princess. Of course they're going to talk about her going mad.
Yep. So crazy. Like, this is how you play somebody becoming unhinged. This is how you write that out. Wink,
and
wink, nod, nod.
In her mind, it's slight after slight, except it's not even about her.
Yeah.
Again, it's about her own ego and her bitterness at doing the thing she was supposed to do again, and not getting the life she wanted.
Instead of being like, don't hate the player, hate the game, right?
right.
Like, because you're just a pawn in this. Like, at the end of the day, like, we know that your dad just wants to put somebody from his bloodline on the Iron Throne. That's your sole purpose. That's all it is. So you getting mad about all these other things, it's really cute and all, but you're losing sight of like the long game, and he's playing the long game.
Because what should she have against Rhaenyra? What has Rhaenyra done to her?
I just shrugged, guys.
What has Rhaenyra done to her to make her hate her so much, other than having an extended hot girl summer?
Living the life of a privileged young woman, befitting her. Like, she's the princess, she's heir to the Iron Throne, she kind of do whatever the fuck she wants. And
and her dad turns a blind eye to everything she does. But why does that make you like violently hate her? It's jealousy.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes sense. She's jealous of her.
Jealousy.
And then when she's apologizing to Viserys when they're in the carriage, he again is like, let's speak no more of this. And that's always his solution. It's all right, we're just not going to talk about it.
We're done. You're done.
And he doesn't realize what he's setting up. He's creating this environment.
This was all his fault. Not all his fault, but a lot of it's a lot of it is his fault. Not being able to see the snakes around him, not like but we've been set up from the very beginning to know that he doesn't like conflict.
Right.
He's going to do whatever he can to just like, all right, it's over now. We're moving on. Let's put it behind us. And she's like, oh, you want to look at my kid every day and not ever going to be able to forget this. He's going to miss an eye for the rest of his life. Like, how am I going to forget this? And it's just like another example. Another example, like he's going to look into the kid's face and see, how Rhaenyra is getting away with everything as usual, all over again.
Rhaenyra and her kids now.
And her kids. What a juicy episode.
Oh man, there's so much. And we're like not even Laenor and Rhaenyra. Let's talk about them now.
Their house words. I should have been there.
I should have been there.
I like their
That
relationship.
conversation. Okay.
That's
Oh,
some
I
real,
guess
real
we can
talk.
talk about what happens in the books in our spoiler section. That conversation between them, when he says that by doing their duty and finding happiness on the side, that that those two things can't always be concurrent. I thought he was going to tell her he can't do it anymore, but instead he recommitted himself to her. And he says he hates how the gods made him, and she points out that he is an honorable man. He's good to her. He's kind.
He's a good dude. It's not about you being gay, dude.
Yeah, I mean, to Westeros it is, but
for her,
to
it's not.
her, yeah,
She's like,
for
you're a
her,
good
she's like,
dude.
no, it's like the best husband I could have had. Like, I get to do whatever I want on the side, and you're like my bestie, and you're a really nice guy, and I'm raising these children that you know aren't yours. Like, what more could she ask for? Living my best life.
Yeah.
Before we do that, what did you think of Laris's offer to take an eye? I mean, I guess we can get into the spoilers for
Laris
to actually go into depth on that, but he was absolutely down to go take that baby's eye.
He really was.
He is so sick. But I want to talk
Hair
more
and
about
Hall's
that
not
in the
enough.
spoilers. Right. I want to talk more about that in the spoiler section if I remember.
You know what I wanted to say real quick? That moment at the funeral where Viserys is trying to make up with Daemon. He's like, come back to court. There's a place where he's like, I don't want you to give me anything. He's like, I'm trying to make my own way in the world. I don't need anything from you. And Viserys is just trying to make it with his brother, and Daemon's just like not having it at all.
I wonder if he ever claimed the inheritance he said he was supposed to get from Lady Rhea. I mean, he doesn't live in the Vale, so I guess not.
Yeah.
But I wonder if he did get anything out of it, like money or something.
He flipped it. Sold it.
Just gentrified the Vale.
Starbucks in Runestone.
Oh my God. But yeah, he is trying to carve his own way.
Yeah.
And it's not working out. But when he's so when he's told Rhaenyra that in order to marry her, Laenor would have to die, and she said, I know. I was like, oh my God.
That's what I did too.
Oh my God, no.
I was like, they're gonna kill him.
They're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill him.
I was like, yeah. I was like, but you just had this conversation about him, like, but then I thought about it. It's like, they're talking about how fire is a prison and the sea is an escape,
right?
And how they could be allied. This Daemon says that the sea is a better ally.
But then even when he approached Sir Carl, and he just asked for a quick death with lots of witnesses, even then, like, he hasn't told Carl yet that there's a plan. He led with that part.
Yeah, he was like, hey, by the way, you can go live your life and nobody cares who you are and you can be anonymous and do you. And Carl's like, okay, so
he said, say no more, fam, who I gotta kill.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it had me on edge because, well, this isn't a spoiler now because it's happened. But in the
I wrote here, it says, I wrote, because Damon comes over and he's like, seeing all Carl's pretty clothes and stuff. And he was like, you look like almost like a nobleman. And then I wrote down common born Carl because he called him my lord and not my lord.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
He was like, oh, you're catch that. Yeah, because Damon's like, oh, he says my lord, and Damon's like, oh, you're common born. And I was like, we know that from Cersei.
What was I about to say? Oh, I was going to say this isn't a spoiler because we see it play out, but in the book, they did say that Laenor was killed during a quarrel with his lover. And there's like no, I don't remember how much detail it went into, but it's like, remember, it's a maester telling you what happened. So,
right.
And now we get to see like he's killed by his lover who actually didn't kill him at all. He ran away and escaped to go be happy. But okay, but here's my problem with that. One, who's that random guy that Daemon killed to fill in for a body? Like, who is he? You just murdered someone in the castle. Like, was that a cousin? Was it like somebody who works there?
I mean, it was just
like, was it a distant cousin? Like,
what do they call them? Mistborn, the fucking common people. Oh, the ska. It was a
The
ska.
ska.
Like no consequences. Just like what? Break the neck, throw the body in the
Yeah, I'm
fire.
like, nobody's gonna wonder where this guy is. And then what a cruel thing to do to Rhaenys in
I
particular. I mean,
know.
to Corlys too, but Rhaenys, it was heartbreaking for
Yeah.
her. Like to lose your son on the night you buried your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much more can she take? How much more should she be expected to take? That's if I were to run away, if I were to fake my death and run away, I wouldn't be able to stop thinking about the people I left behind.
Mm. No matter how many gold dragons you put in my hand.
Yeah. To see the way your mother wept over your sister and then to also do it to her.
Yeah.
It's like, is it worth it? Maybe, maybe
Car.
not.
Oh.
What did you think about their fight when he's like, you always looked down on me?
I thought it was I don't want to say that it felt staged. I'm like, that's the argument.
Yeah, it
That's
seemed
like that's
so.
the argument. That doesn't seem like the right. That's not like the thing
So
that would incense him.
when I thought that Carl was actually going to kill him, I was like, okay, what is he going to do to provoke a fight? And so when he says, you've always looked down on me and pulls the sword, I was like, I thought what you said too, like, that's it. Like
Yeah.
you think he looks down on you all of a sudden, like the night of his sister's funeral, you bring this up, like,
You
okay.
know, like showering you with gifts, letting you flirt with other men at his sister's funeral.
Well, I don't know if he was letting him.
Well, okay, fine. Letting you be loose with your affections. But yeah, I didn't think it was like cause, but I guess if you're an untrained eye being in the room with them, you'd be like, and maybe having been privy to some of the stuff that they've been to before. I'm talking about the kid who runs and
Right,
gets
who
like the
runs to get
guards,
the
right?
guards. Yeah.
That's all, maybe that's all he needed. But yeah, it seemed like a very flimsy beginning of an argument to me, honestly.
And if the kid went to go get the cards, how did Sir Carl get out so fast?
Where the fuck did they go?
And are people not going to look for him? They murdered the heir to Driftmark.
Yeah, that's a good
I mean,
question, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Good question.
So I guess
I didn't even
they
think
obviously
about
had
that.
a ship waiting.
Well, they did, right? But then it's like you have a ship waiting, but like the Lord of this castle owns the navy.
Right. And you're sailing out of Driftmark and you have to take a rowboat to whatever ship this is. Like there's
Yeah.
not people out with torches looking for the killer. And that child who witnessed it, because remember, Damon wanted
Hmm.
witnesses, that child would have been like he was fighting with Sir Carl.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that wasn't really thought through
I
well
mean,
enough.
they only had a night,
Yeah.
or 2 nights. I guess this was like the next day. It wasn't the night of the funeral. This was the
Hmm.
next night.
So weird. And I was like, it's like, what happens now? Is he gonna come back?
Well, I saw, oh wait, no, that would be spoilery. Never mind. Um,
The
all in
name of one
all,
of the episodes. Lord of the Tides.
all in all, I absolutely love this episode. I feel like every week I'm like, nope, this one's my favorite. Nope, this one's my
Yeah.
favorite. And I like that they're able to put so much in the episode and you don't even
Hmm.
realize.
They're jam packed. Um, I feel like I've been very satisfied at the end of every episode.
Yeah,
And then when I'm rewatching, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is really this is really good.
right. Like when I was watching it, I was so caught up in the proceedings about the boys, the
Hmm.
children, that I was when it got to Rhaenyra talking to Damon about getting married, I was like, oh shit, we do have that still to
Hmm.
happen.
They have to get married. They have to
That's what I
blah, blah,
was
blah,
going to
blah,
talk
blah.
about before I finished was the Valerian wedding. What did you think about that bathing in each other's blood like some
Uh,
vampires?
I was gonna say that's like a very metallic tasting kiss. Like, don't slice my bottom lip open, bro. You know how
And
long it
also
takes to
like
heal?
slicing your palm open is a bad idea too. They slice deep because you saw that blood dripping out.
Yeah.
But you like vampires, was that sexy?
No, because I couldn't get over the fact that like I was stuck on the fact that they sliced the lip open. from the middle. And I just I was still like writhing in pain from that moment. So when they got to slicing the hands open, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's whatever. We see that all the time. But the lip, and then to just be sucking each other's faces like that
in front of the children, no less.
In front of the children whose mother just died.
Just
and whose father just died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both of their fathers just died.
Now, since it was just that, I guess, Valerian priest, I guess we'd call him. I'm not really sure what they call their leaders of religion. And then that maester. So I guess we have to wait. I'm like, so this is a secret wedding, because if it wasn't Viserys, even if it was that she just didn't want to have a big wedding, Viserys would have been there.
Allison, somebody would have been there. I wrote in capital letters, Roth. Viserys is Roth.
He did not want his brother to marry his daughter because he knew his brother ain't shit. Yeah, he knows what his brother's like.
But his brother makes his daughter happy.
Yeah. God, I just can't wait for their toxicity to bloom.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to get into some kind of spoilers? No.
I love that. It's like the tagline of every housewife show ever. Wait for the toxicity to bloom. Trademark. Bing bing.
I don't have a whole lot of spoilery stuff.
I don't either.
But
honestly,
there was a theory I saw flying about.
About what? Pray tell.
Well, it's spoilery. So,
all right.
Are we done? Yes. Are we done with the episode?
Done. Yes.
This is the spoiler section. We are going to have spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Woohoo! Spoilers.
Spoiler time. People have been speculating. Oh, I saw someone speculate that Laenor comes back as Adam Hull, who was one of the dragon riders in the dance, who was, I think, supposed to be like a bastard or something. I can't really remember because I didn't reread, but he's someone who turns up and is able to ride the dragon because Laenor left his dragon behind.
Right.
And actually, I'll look right now to see if Adam Hull
you'd have to.
Rode Sea Smoke. It was Sea Smoke, right?
I don't remember. And because I haven't reread past our primer. And I've wanted to, but I was like, I'm going to leave it.
I know. I'm
going to wait until after. I'm going to wait until after.
Yes. So Adam of Hull comes back and rides Sea Smoke, which was Laenor's dragon. And I don't think anyone rode him in between.
That makes sense.
Yes, Sea Smoke made his lair in the Dragon Mount on the island of Dragonstone and remained riderless for almost a decade. Now, I don't know if the ages will match up because I don't know how old Adam of Hull is supposed to be.
Right.
But that would be interesting for him to come back 10 years later pretending to be someone else. I mean, I imagine his mother would recognize his face.
Right.
And let me see what Adam's description is too.
Oh man, there's so many exciting things that are coming up still.
Okay, I remember. So it couldn't work age-wise. Adam was declared to be a bastard son of Laenor. He had a brother, Alan, but it was rumored that they were really Corlys's bastards because we all know Laenor wouldn't have had bastards. But it was rumored to be Lord Corlys's his bastard sons, and that is why he was able to ride Sea Smoke. So age-wise, I guess that theory wouldn't really work, but who knows what they'll do in the show. They take liberties.
I was going to say they're taking liberties, and I have to say that I have been so far really happy with the adaptations that they're making, all the changes that they're making. That because
it's all fine for me.
It's not canon, but it's still really good, and it's a really smart use of everything that they're doing. So I'm super happy with it. Incest and all. Hand turns loom, spool of green, spool of black. I'm missing. We haven't heard any songs.
Well, when Laenor was coming home drunk that time, it sounded like he was singing "The Bear and the Maiden Fair."
Oh, maybe.
That's what it sounded like to me, but I don't know.
Let's go back. I miss songs.
I guess I didn't really have much spoilery to talk about that I
Me
can
either.
remember. I feel like I wanted to say something about Helena.
Well, we're only getting glimpses of her, but I mean, I think we should definitely keep track of the things that she's saying in the episodes. Like if the timeline for it to come true is the following episode,
Right.
um, we can see what's going on with that.
But this poem doesn't seem like she was predicting something. It seemed like maybe she's kind of saying what's going on. The wheel weaves
Maybe.
as the wheel wills.
Oh, we can't wait for that to come back on. When is that back?
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
So there's another time jump.
Oh, next
episode. Yeah.
Oh God, it's
I
dizzying.
know it is, but
it's
been done well. Yeah, it's been done well though.
Yeah.
So I can't even complain.
Yeah.
So we'll see them a little bit older. I don't know how old.
I mean, do we get Viserys's death in the next episode? Because I feel like he's got to die before the season's over.
Well, that all depends on how many children Rhaenyra and Daemon have, because remember, she's giving birth when she gets the news.
Right.
I feel like he's gonna die in episode 9.
Keep it true to the series.
Yeah.
The franchise.
I think he's gonna die in episode 9, and then that will be when Alicent and Otto say not to tell anyone, and then Kristen Cole murders Lord Beesbury.
I really want him to die a horrible death.
I mean, he will. Remember, he came upon that Feast of the Dead. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was him.
Yeah.
And so he did get to die alone, surrounded by corpses.
Sounds good to me. Fuck that dude.
Bitch. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're gonna get into real war stuff until...
I don't think so either. I think dragon fights are all next season.
Yeah, when they have more money.
Maybe we have one. Maybe we have like one dragon fight. But like, yeah. God, Vhagar is so big and just old and ancient and looks like
you saw like the torn wings, his like chunks missing.
The eyes are all messed up, and like the face is just like, ugh,
this old scarred battle weary dragon.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up then, I guess. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I think that we kind of skipped. We didn't really skip over it, but when we talked about Rhaenyra telling Daemon, well, she realizes at this point, she's like, listen, maybe question. Do you think that her having sex with Daemon was a test to see if he could indeed follow through? 1, to see that they would have sex that they would enjoy. 2, but also know, like, if I get pregnant by you, then we're definitely having a white-haired baby, right? Like, she can't continue on with Laenor, especially if he's not able to get her pregnant, and like especially with all these accusations,
right? Like she can't she couldn't just keep having children. And
because she's telling her, she's like, listen, I need you, but like I need you to be the one to strengthen my claim, and who's going to come up against us, and you can be the prince consort and all that stuff. Something is just speculating about just like her talking about how she needs to strengthen her house and to come up with a plan. And I'm glad that she didn't actually end up killing.
I would have been so upset.
I would have been very disappointed in her.
Because knowing that, okay, he allegedly died in a lover's quarrel. That was like sad enough. So I've been expecting Laenor's death. That we all know that that's coming.
Yeah.
So I thought that was happening tonight, and I was really disappointed for it to be Rhaenyra to cause it, especially after the conversation she just had with him. I was just like, what? This is such a weird turn. And of course, we're wrong. Like the conversation was, how can she set him free so that he can be happy and she can find happiness? Because at this point, it's not her really holding him back. It's like him being nobility.
Yeah.
Kind of like Daemon wanting to get away so that he doesn't have to be an heir and doesn't have to worry about, Westerosi politics and all of the weird stuff that goes on there. You just live and be happy.
Exactly. Just having an actual life.
That's it for us, guys. We'll see you next week, or you'll hear us next week. I've been Tanya.
I'm always Nikki.
Talk to you next time. To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.